Brilliance Audio presents the unabridged recording of Hacker Mom by Austen Rachlis. Performed by Tanya Eby. Episode 1. States Bank. Parker Claiborne rubbed his eyes and took another swig of his Red Bull. It was his fourth in the past 3 hours. When he'd first found the security glitch that allowed him to take over the web cameras on all the computers in the main branch of States Bank, he'd never imagined that the hardest part would be staying awake. Years of covertly watching his sister's favorite television shows had led him to believe that workplaces, be they hospitals, law firms, or advertising agencies, were not where people conducted business, but rather where attractive people consummated illicit affairs, got overly invested in other people's problems, and spent a lot of time staring into the middle distance with a worried yet soulful look on their faces. Unfortunately, people seemed to actually work at States Bank. Parker hadn't seen a single lustful glance pass from one person to another. There wasn't even one mid-level executive jerking off under his desk. Not that Parker was into that kind of thing. Instead, Parker was forced to watch bankers bank. And for all the evil that banks caused in the world, the day-to-day was flat-out boring. Parker once again pondered what on earth possessed people to take day jobs. Total soul killers. Parker would never work for someone else. Although, at the moment, even he would have to admit that what he was doing wasn't awesome. Staring at grainy webcam footage, waiting for people to enter their login information, picking up their passwords, and hoping that said person was a high enough level executive to give him access to the files he wanted. Parker sighed and tossed his empty Red Bull can directly over his head. He heard it ricochet off the shelf and land in the wastebasket with a satisfying clink. It was almost too easy at this point. He'd have to try it through the legs next time. He scanned through the images again. Nothing. He'd been at this for over 8 hours and collected just under 200 passwords, but none of them had high enough clearance. He was starting to wonder if maybe the bank was smart enough to deactivate the web cameras on the high-level execs' computers. Maybe he should admit defeat. It was just after 10. He could go upstairs and still catch most of that hospital show he pretended not to know the name of, but he'd told his sister that he had a big project due at school the next day, and going upstairs would provoke a whole lot of needling him about it. Alice was a ditz, but she wasn't a complete moron. She'd start to figure out there was no
Sample complete. Ready to continue?